Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We had started with lesson number 2. In continuation, that was tradition of Indian historiography, we had completed. Now we are going to start 2.2, that is Indian historiography, various ideological frameworks. Now the people who had their contribution for various ideological framework are, the first topic here is colonial historiography. Now the earlier scholars who studied and wrote Indian history were mainly British officers and the Christian missionaries. Their prejudice is clearly reflected in the way of they had been ridiculed Indian culture. Their writing were used to justify the colonial British rule. The 5 volumes of Cambridge History of India, published during 1922 till 1937, are distinct because of the examples which are given as a colonial historiography. Now first we are going to see is the Orientalist historiography. Many European scholars felt a curiosity about the civilizations and the countries of the East. They were interested in the history of the countries of the East. Some of these scholars felt the admiration and respect for them. These scholars who have written such kind of history is called as the Orientalist history. Orient means from the East. The Orientalists studied the similarities between the Sanskrit and some of the European languages. They focused more on the Vedic traditions and the Sanskrit literature. Their studies resulted in formulating the notions of an ancient language that would be the mother of all the Indo-European language. They wanted to know what was the base of the languages like the European languages and the Sanskrit language. Okay. In 1784, Sir William Jones founded an Asiatic Society in Kolkata. It opened the doors for the research in ancient Indian literatures and history. Among the Orientalist scholars, Frederick Max Muller deserves a special mention. Why? Because his opinion was that the most ancient languages of the Indo-European languages are being deeply rooted from the Sanskrit. He first translated the Sanskrit text of Hitopadesha. He also was the editor of 50 volumes of the sacred books of the East. He also compiled Rig Veda, which has been published in the 6 volumes. He translated Rig Veda in German language. Lately, Edward Said, a scholar who has re-evaluated the Orientalist writing, has thrown light on an imperialistic interests of the Orientalist scholars. Now we are going to see here is the nationalistic historiography. Nationalistic means connected with the nation, that is India. The writings of Indian historians who were trained in the British educational system shown an inclination to restore the pride in the ancient glory of India and the self-esteem of the Indian readers. Their writings is known as the nationalistic historiography. They had a lot of love and attachment for the country and they were basically the Indians. Nationalistic writings in Maharashtra were inspired by Vishnu Shastri Chiplunkar. He criticized the project history of the ancient India written by the British officers. The nationalistic historians tried to seek the golden era of Indian history. They started covering all those glorious times of Indian history. Now, here the prominent people among them were Mahadev Govind Ranade, Ramkrishna Gopal Bhandarkar, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, Rajendra Lal Mishra, Ramesh Chandra Mujumdar, Kashi Prasad Jaiswal, Radha Kumud Mukherjee, Bhagwan Lal Indraji, Vasudev Vishnu Mirasi, and Anant Sadashiv Atekar. The names of some renowned scholars which started with the nationalistic historiography. Okay. The special mentions we are going to see in detail are about V.K. Rajwade. V.K. Rajwada is well known for writing in Marathi in various subjects like history, linguistics, etymologies, grammar. He was of the firm opinion that we should write our own history. That means he wanted the Indians to write their own history, because the Europeans were writing all sort of wrong history that will go a bad impression about the Indians. He compiled and edited 22 volumes of मराठ्यांच्या इतिहासाची साधने. He wrote very scholarly preface to each of the 22 volumes. He stated, history is all inclusive image of the past societies. It does not include only the stories of the political images, conspiracies, wars for seizing power. That means not only about the power, but also the societies which were there at that time, how they lived from the basic level of the human beings till now. He wanted to write all the details of it with the authentic proofs, using the authentic documents. The nationalistic historiography helped in triggering, that means it started a targeting towards the Indian people to have love and attachment for their country and a hatred for the British. In these aspects, the book like the Indian War of Independence 1857, it was written by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, is of great importance. The nationalistic historiography provides a momentum to the writing of the regional histories too. As a result, the attention of the historians was drawn to the geographical conditions and the history of the South Indian regions. Next topic we are going to take is the historiography in the post-independence era. That means after the independence, what type of historiography was written? What was the history then? Now, along with the writings of the dynastic histories, the cultural, social, economic histories were also being written. Scholars of the post-independent era began to feel the need of writing histories of various communities, sciences, economic systems, political ideologies, cultural aspects. The historiography of these era has been influenced mainly by the three ideological schools. That means a kind of a idea. Which were these ideas? Three kind of ideas: Marxist history, subaltern history, and feminist history. We are going to see in detail all this. First, let us understand Marxist history. The concern of the means of production. What do you mean by means of production? That means each and everybody has to live with the help of the food, shelter, and clothing, right? So what are the basic needs of his life, from where they are fulfilled? That is, each person is getting an income where he is earning from. That is the means of production. Mode of production and the industrial relations. Okay, each relation of each of the business is connected with the other. Suppose we take the farmer. Farmer is connected with his farm. Now he is taking the loan from the people, I mean to say the rich people, and sowing the seeds, and then he is having the workers who are working under him, so they are being given money from him. Then we see the other industries which are related to farming. That is, the rice mills are there, the sugar factories are there, the factories which convert the raw material from the farms into another products. Like if it is a mango juice factory, mango pulp factory, from where they get the basic raw material from the farm. So what he is telling, the mean of production, mode of production, and the industrial relations were at the center in the writing of the Marxist historian. According to the analysis, the impact of every social event of significance has remained the basic theme of Marxist historiography. That means whatever the things at the base that has given an effect on the whole of that industry. Marxist historians in India studied the transition within the caste system. They have studied the transition. What do you mean by transition? A change, a change in the caste system. Last time very low class was that untouchable class, and then the middle class, and then the higher and very high level. But now, because of the Marxist system, Marxists wanted the society to have income being distributed among the equally among the different caste or different level of the society's people. Among them, one of the prominent person was Damodar Kosambe. He has written the Marxist history. The notable Indian historian who adopted Marxist ideology framework, scholar like Damodar Kosambi, Comrade Sripad Amrut Dange, Ram Sharan Sharma, Comrade Sharad Patil have contributed notably. Comrade Dange was one of the founder members of the Indian Communist Party, Primitive Communism to Slavery. The books written by him represent the Marxist historiography. Okay. Now we turn on to subaltern history. Subaltern means the lower. Now here what it is the lowest, very bottommost level of the people. Who were the bottommost people? The laborers who were working in the farm, in the factories, the basic peoples who work very hard and they earn a very little amount of money. Their history, that is called as the subaltern history. See their definition here. The seeds of the subaltern history was found in the Marxist historiography. The role of the Indian historians Antonio Gramsci is very important in developing the idea that history should be written starting from the bottommost rank of the people in the society. In fact, subaltern means the bottommost rank. Okay. Now, in the folklores, that means the people who had suffered a lot at this basic level, they had written their story in the form of songs and many of the different kind of stories. They had considered as a very important source of writing the subaltern history. Ranjit Guha, an Indian historian, played a major role in establishing the subaltern history is an important academic school of scholars. However, we may point out that much before the onset of the subaltern ideology, similar thoughts were expressed by Mahatma Jyotirao Phule and Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. These two prominent personalities have done a very big impact on the society, and they have changed many of the direction of the society's people's thinking. Now let us see about Mahatma Jyotirao Phule. Mahatma Jyotirao Phule unfolded the history of the Shudrati Shudra communities in his book Gulamgiri. That means Shudrati Shudra means the very lower basic people who were very much been harassed, who were being suppressed in the society. They were given lot of torture. They were being given less money. He drew attention to the exploitation of the women's Shudras and Atishudras done under the name of religion. Now, according to the Hindu caste system, the lowest people were the untouchable people, and they were be working hard and they were given very low standards and not at all respect in the society. They were the Shudras. He has written about the sufferings of these people. The term Shudra and Atishudra indicates the bottommost rank in the caste system. Okay. The role of the people belonging to the Dalit caste is very significant in the shaping of the various cultural and political aspects of India. However, these role was not duly acknowledged in the colonial nationalistic historiography. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, focusing on these facts, consistently wrote about these two books. Now, the two famous books which Baba Saheb Ambedkar has written who were the Shudras and the Untouchables, may be cited as an example of the history of subaltern type. Okay. Now we are further moving towards feminist history. Now whatever the suffering in the European country was written by, we have seen in the feminist history. Now here in India also the suffering of the women were written in the form of history, that is called as feminist history. Over a significant period of time, mainly the male scholars were involved in writing of the Indian history. As a result, the role and the achievement of the women in the history remained neglected. To highlight these facts was the major task faced by the feminist historians. Also, it was important to study and compile. Compile means arrange them. Compile the historical writings of the women. It was also necessary to rethink of women's position in history. Among women authors writing about women in the 19th century, one prominent name comes out is Tarabai Shinde. She was a foremost in these kind of writings. She wrote attacking the male dominating social systems and the caste system. Her book is Stri Purush Tulana, that is the comparison between the women and the man, published in the year 1882, is acknowledged as the first feminist book in India. In 1888, the book written by Pandita Ramabai was published, entitled The High Caste Hindu Woman. Now, the feminist literature of the post-independent era concentrated on the issues like employment of the women's, treatment out to them at their working place, their rights to political equalities. Among the recently published feminist historiography literatures, Meera Kosambai book Crossing the Thresholds, Feminist Essays in Social History is of the importance. It contains the essays of the stories, life stories of the women like Pandita Ramabai and Dr. Rukmabai, the first practicing lady doctor of India. A lot of literature is available unfolding the view of the Dalit women in Maharashtra. Dr. Sharmila Rege's work is noteworthy in this context. Her book, Writing the Caste, Writing Gender, Reading Dalit Women's Testimonies, includes her essays on the autobiographies of the Dalit women, their sufferings. There has been a number of Indian historians who have wrote without embracing a particular ideology. Among them, historians like Dr. Sir Jadunath Sarkar, Surendranath Sen, Riasatkar G.S. Sardesai and Trayambak Shankar Shejewalkar are noteworthy. In the recent times, historians like Yashwant Dinkar Phadke, Ramchandra Guha have contributed extensively to the historiography of modern history. Thus, it is evident from these that the Indian historiography has been influenced greatly by the social and political movements which happen in India. And it seems that some part of the Indian historiography was also developed outside the influence of these kind of movements. Okay. Alhamdulillah, with this we end the explanation of lesson number 2. I hope you will be doing all the exercises on page number 13 and 14 with the help of the textbook. Okay. Thank you so much. Jazakallah.